All right. Well, that was good timing. I think we're live. So,
Woo!
yeah. What's going
What's
on, guys? What's
happening?
going on Facebook? What's up? How are we
What's up?
doing?
What's up?
What's up?
Let's have a toast. It's morning still, so
Let's
coffee in
go.
hand. Clink. Boom.
Boom.
Oh, brother, it's good to see you this morning.
Yep. Yeah, it's good to have you. Everybody, for people that don't know, this is a uh just an awesome guy when it comes to sales and mindset. He's actually a mentor of mine. I work closely with him, and he's nothing short of incredible in those areas. So we'll talk a little bit more about his story as we go here. But I'm excited to have Grant Eilertson here. How's everybody doing? How are you doing?
I appreciate it, man. I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I just came off of another sales call that closed, so I've got some good stuff to share with you guys watching here.
There you go, guys.
Dang, we already got some awesome people on here live. Shit, drop below. Where are you watching from? I'm always really curious. This internet world just brings us together from all different corners of the globe. Let me know where you're watching from, and drop your favorite or maybe least favorite, like most troubling sales questions below, and we'll make sure we get to them because
Yes.
I did not come prepared with an agenda to sell you or pitch you on anything. My only agenda is to serve. So ask your questions so that I can do that.
Hey, Jackie, how's it going? Good morning. I'm gonna pull up the comments here so I have them in front of me.
Beautiful. I got them here too. Ooh, we got Toronto, Canada.
Toronto.
Ooh,
Okay, we're going international today, guys. Love it.
nice to meet you. Ooh, all right.
So we got Grant. Grant's in Portland right now. I'm in San Diego.
Yeah,
So
I'm gonna come down and visit you, brother. Flying out on Saturday.
all
Saturday.
right,
Hell
love
yeah.
it. Cool. Um, so I guess hey Mariano, what's going on? um, I guess just starting out, Grant, tell me a little bit, I guess tell us a little bit about your backstory and how you got to what you're doing now and then what you do in general.
Yeah. I've been doing so many interviews lately that I always tell the story about how I worked retail, was GNC's youngest manager, set record breaking sales, went into building a fitness and nutrition consulting business, fell in love with sales from there, all this, that, and the other, right? Um, but I was actually talking with one of my best friends 2 days ago, and he's like, no, where did you really start? Like, where did it click? What do you think is actually put you on this path to being able to create what you want? And I realized, dude, it was in third grade. It was in third grade that I realized no one can make me do anything that I'm not willing to do. And it's kind of an extreme ownership situation when you realize, oh shit, I'm completely in control of the outcomes in my life and I have to take responsibility for that, which is integral in sales, by the way. Um, but when I realized, short of laying a hand on me, right, there was nothing, there was no real threats that someone could give. Sit down, do your homework, or I'm gonna call your parents. Cool, go ahead. Here's their number. I don't care. And when you really grasp that you're in control of your life and anything that you do has been by a choice, you haven't been forced. It's a strange, I have my power back kind of feeling. And so that was really what set me in motion. I'm willing to take risks that other people aren't. And that I think is why I have what a lot of other people don't, because I'm willing to take the risks and I always hire someone that's a couple steps ahead of me. And props for you, bro. Literally, working with Andrew and the team, shit, every single day you improve. And as a result, it trickles down to your clients. And I love seeing that.
Mhm.
Uh, but yeah, I'm working on developing that little backstory a little more because I think that really was the thing that set it all in motion. Is just realizing look, at the end of the day, nothing really matters that much, and it's up to you to control where your ship's going in life. Otherwise, the ocean's just going to push you to the side. You feel powerless, and when you feel powerless, it's really hard to be fulfilled.
Mhm.
Right? No one wants to be in a cage. We want to have control over our lives. We want to know where we're going, and yeah, that could segue me into a bunch of good sales topics, but I want you to lead this one, my man.
Yeah,
What do
yeah.
you want to talk about today?
Well, if I just want to just add tack on a little bit to that, just saying that I completely agree, and I think we really overthink things we stress out just way too much about the little stuff and sweat the small stuff. And I think it's important as much as possible to take that step back and just realize, what's the worst thing that could happen, or is this really as big of a deal as I'm making it right now? So I'm
Dude,
with you.
let's expand on that a little bit further, because it's so key. If you're constantly got your head down in the small things, the day-to-day, the minutia, and you're making mountains out of molehills, you'll never really get anywhere meaningful. And it takes a certain degree of willingness and ability to actually check out, remove yourself, or take a step back and let some of the little things that don't really matter not matter as much. And a great book that actually puts this all into perspective is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. And the real crux of it, I'll distill it down into 5 seconds, is that you need to be really careful about what you give a fuck about, because we have a limited amount to give. And if you actually are conscious about where you are giving your fucks, then when you actually do, it makes a real difference, right? A good quote is, yes means nothing without the ability to say no. And so from just a foundational perspective, when you get that and you recognize that, it doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to be the expert. You just have to be able to solve people's problems. You just have to be one step ahead. It's a really empowering belief system to have, because you're much more able to take inspired creative action versus this feeling of obligation or feeling like I'm trapped, because nothing great comes out of that. It never does. We come up with world-changing ideas when we're able to think big picture and let go of some of the small stuff and be willing to take those risks for something bigger than ourselves.
Yeah.
Oof, that's a good one.
Powerful, man. Powerful stuff. And I can't agree more with that. I really think, you just have to be able to uncover people's problems and either solve it or find somebody that can solve it ultimately. And you don't have to be Superman. You don't have to be, nobody knows everything, and nobody knows it all. So you have to be okay with that. You have to learn to be okay with that. And it is okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So let's segue that into a real quick hitting tip for sales. Is if you're holding yourself to this standard that I have to be perfect, I have to be the expert, then we show up in our interactions with this air of I need to prove myself, which is an inferior state. And from this I need to prove myself, it's really, really, really difficult, if not impossible, to transfer the certainty necessary to actually influence someone to make a buying decision. And so if you're holding yourself to this standard of I have to be perfect, I have to prove to them that this is what they need, then you're going to have a hell of a time doing it. It's going to suck. It's going to be hard. And it's likely that you've felt that way before too. I came to the realization because I would feel constantly burnt out after days of sales. And that's not fun, because sales can really be a cool tool. And so when you realize that I don't have to be an expert, just have to be one step ahead. And it's just up to you to ask good questions so that they come to their own conclusion that it logically makes sense and emotionally feels like a must have, then sales gets to be really easy. Mm-hmm. And it's a lot more simple. You can take the pressure off yourself, because it's not up to you to make the sale. It's up to you to hold space and ask the right questions for them to determine it's the best fit.
Love that.
Simple.
Love that. Let's talk about certainty for a second, right? Like I think we're getting into we're diving pretty deep into sales right now. And I want to take a step back for people that maybe aren't all, maybe they don't know a lot about the mindset and what goes into sales and the that side of things. So let's talk about how the importance of certainty and why that's so important for enrolling new clients.
Yeah. Awesome. So in the most basic sense, the way I think of sales is the transference of emotion, because people make their decisions emotionally and then they will back them up with logic. That's just how we function. If you remove a human's ability to feel emotion, you remove the ability to make decisions. We can logically reason what might be a good choice, but we can't actually make the decision. So when we understand that emotions are how we are able to sell, and we recognize that as a coach or as a salesperson, you are source, you are in control of your outcomes based on how you show up, then you are able to generate the emotions within yourself that your prospect needs to feel. And I know this might sound a little bit woo-woo and such, but just understand that if you've ever been in an argument with someone and you're a little bit uncertain about the facts that you're bringing to the table, you're like, I think my second cousin read something on an internet blog once from a friend, and so I have kind of a half-baked opinion. But then someone who's actually done the research comes up and with certainty says, no, that fact is wrong, actually, and this is how it is. They're able to typically shift your belief and influence you to agree with them. Why? Because their certainty overcame your doubt. And this is what happens on enrollment calls. If your prospect is more certain that they are stuck with their current circumstances, or they're more certain that saying yes is not going to be a good choice for them, then you are certain that it is the best possible fit. And if they choose to move forward, they will get the results. And you won't be able to make the sale. And so it's a matter of being able to generate that from within yourself so you can transfer that. And we do it with our tonality and our body language more than we do with our words. So it's not a matter of me saying, look, Charlie, I mean, believe me, man, like it's worked for everybody so far. And I know it's going to work for you too. It's not very convincing. Mm-hmm. But if we're at the point in the interaction where I'm asking for the sale and I need to infuse certainty so that they are able to make an empowered decision, then it'll feel a lot more like, so let's do this, Charlie. Let's get you plugged in so you can get the support and the guidance that you need. And believe me, if you're even half as successful as the rest of the people we've worked with, the only problem you'll have is we didn't get started 6 months sooner. Sound fair enough? It's the tonality that transmits, and tonality is just how I'm actually saying what I'm saying. Right? There's a good quote. There's nothing new under the sun. It's not what you do, it's how it's done. Mm-hmm. And so it's a matter of transferring that. And this is not just in sales, but in day-to-day life. If you want to be a more influential person, really connect with your certainty because it's grounding. You have a much more powerful presence. Tony Robbins is a great example. There's plenty of people that can move a room and who can deliver a powerful speech. But there are very few humans who, when they just walk into a room, you can feel their energy and their grounded presence. Tony is insanely certain. He's so grounded. And when you can be that kind of person, you create a lot better results in your life. Mm-hmm. You're more influential. You're more willing to stick to the path and not let your energy go all sorts of different directions.
Yeah, and I want to pause you for a second there, Grant, and say, I know there might be some people that watch this and they're thinking like, I'm not Tony Robbins. I can't be that. That's not my personality. And there's, I think in our accounting industry, that sales can be a little bit more, maybe more uncomfortable than for other people in other industries. Maybe that's not their strong suit, or they don't think that's their strong suit. But that's okay. I mean, the point that we're trying to get across here is that we just want to bring more certainty to the table about our services, about the return on investment that they're going to get from your services that you're providing them. Because at the end of the day, the sale needs to be a win-win, and you need to see that as a win-win, or else you're not going to be able to sell it. So,
100%.
Yeah.
So that's one of those things where, we're not all Tony Robbins and we shouldn't aspire to be, but we just need to be able to generate that from within ourselves. So a practical exercise for you guys to do is think, what am I absolutely 100% certain about in my life? And really associate with that emotion. How does it feel? Is there a smell? Is there a color I can associate with this? Is there a taste? And then anchor that state so that it's something that you can actually generate when you need it, which is when you are closing a sale. And to just be able to really affirm that within yourself, listing the benefits. Like, I know you spend a lot of time in the numbers and you're great at what you do. Like, otherwise you wouldn't be here working with Charlie. So ask yourself, write down on a piece of paper. I'd even invite you to go so far as to write 100 benefits for somebody saying yes to being in a working relationship with you. What are the benefits? And list them all out. There's benefits that would correlate with your family, your finances, your fun, right? There's multiple different categories. And when you really have that at your disposal and you have 100 reasons that, let me take one quick step back. Don't sell ice to Eskimos. I don't care how good you are at sales, be a good person. That's what comes first, right? It's not a matter of manipulation, but if you can influence someone out of their fear into a win-win that's going to make their life better, then you owe it to you because, hey, you need to live too, and you owe it to them to take a stand for them. And so that's why it's important to get good at sales, because it's the lifeblood of your business. And without the ability to enroll someone, they'll never get to experience the benefit that you would provide. And so that benefit, we'll chunk back now again, or we'll step back forward. I have a bit of a squirrel brain, guys. So when you come to this interaction and this person on the other side of the phone maybe has 15 reasons why I probably won't say yes to this. I've had a bad experience with salespeople in the past. I've tried doing my numbers myself and it didn't make sense. I've worked with an accountant before and it sucked. So they have these different stories running in the back of their head. Maybe they've got 15, hell, 20, even 30. If you show up to the interaction with a rock solid list of 100 reasons why this is the best possible thing for them to do to move forward in their life, whose certainty is going to be overcoming whose doubt? We pretty much tip the scales like crazy. So it's just a really simple exercise. It's just up to you to actually apply it. But it'll make a really big difference in your ability to close deals.
Love that. That's really helpful. So yeah, go ahead, get started on your list of 100 reasons why these business owners should be working with you guys. I think that would be a very helpful exercise, for sure.
Oh yeah.
So I want to transition a little bit to, I think sometimes we may go into sales conversations and not really have a game plan, not have a framework, not have a structure. And I want to start to move into, how we can start simplifying sales and even making it fun, like you said. So
yeah,
how can we simplify the sales process? I guess that would be my first question. And then how can we even this doesn't sound like a lot of fun to, ask somebody for a sale. So
you'll grow to love it when you see your happy clients and you realize that they wouldn't have the opportunity to be that happy had they never said yes. Like, quick little thing before we dive into the tactical stuff. I was signed into a business coaching program that cost me $9,000 at the time when I had basically no money and I was really struggling, but I needed to get this business working. Well, the program sucked, actually. It wasn't what I really wanted, but it was absolutely worth the investment because, and I'm still friends to this day with the guy who sold me into the program. Why? Because what you have the opportunity to do in an enrollment interaction is hold space for someone to finally make a different decision. Because the reason that they have the results that they have in their life is because of the decisions that they've been making. Same with you. You have the results because of the decisions you've made. And when you can have a really deep, powerful conversation, just following a simple framework and actually showing up as a real human, you can really be the catalyst for evolution, impact, and freedom in this other person's life. And it is so fulfilling. And I have people regularly reach out to me to let me know, like, hey, I just wanted to acknowledge you because our call really changed things for me. And yeah, like, I've been enjoying the program, but like, that just lit me up and gave me so much fire and purpose that I've just been crushing it. And that makes me really happy. And you can do that. Same thing with when I hired my CFO. Like, I've learned a lot about how to make more money, and I teach people about that. but I didn't learn how to keep it or invest it. Right. And a lot of the stuff is so simple. It's so simple, but it wasn't until I actually invested in someone else to show me and hold me accountable to it that I actually started following through. And here's the thing, the strategies and simple. I could have found a lot of them online, but the fact of the matter is, because I didn't have that enrollment interaction, because I didn't have that like point where it was like, okay, now I get to actually take this shit seriously. Putting money to the words I was saying to make it real made a huge difference. And now oftentimes I find myself just, without even talking to her, doing the right things. And I share a lot of that in the financial finessing group, just because I'm a big fan of like making things simple. Anyway, we've got a couple questions here. I'm gonna see. Oh, fire. I love it, man. Good to see you on here, brother. So Jackie says, what would be an ideal opening statement if you meet a prospect during an event like a seminar or some celebrations? Oh, I love this question. Most people that I talk with are in the realm of internet sales, but never discount the opportunities you have in person. So typical interactions are, hey, my name's Grant. What's your name? Oh, I'm Bob. Oh, cool. What do you do, Bob? You know, and no one cares because we have this story running in the back of our head all the time of what does this mean for me? What does this mean for me? So you need to satisfy that first for someone else. So instead, when someone asks, what do you do? Instead of saying, oh, I'm an accountant. You're going to say, well, you know how problem? Well, what I do is solution, which means benefit. But I'm curious, what about you? And so in practical sense, right, for me, because I'm sales coach, like, well, what do you do? Well, you know how complicated and scary sales can be when you're really just trying to get your point across and you don't have a framework to follow? Well, what I do is I provide a really simple system so that you can master sales and have fun enrolling your ideal clients while you do that. But I'm curious, what is it that you do? And so you're planting it, problem, solution, benefit, pass the mic. What is it that you do? You're leaving that as an open loop to inspire further curiosity. That'll be the best way possible for you to open when you're meeting people at your next event, Jackie. Drop a comment below. I'm curious where you're going. But yeah, you want to dive into just the framework here?
Yeah, I love that. I was going to just say that don't discount that last part. Like, what is it that you do? Like that, one of the mindsets is you should be super curious about who you're talking to, and just like come from a place of like legit curiosity with your prospects or with somebody that might be a client, ideal client.
Dude, great point. Like not just sales, but everywhere, all the time. People care. Like it's not a bad thing. We are self-centered. That's just how we are as people. It's not a good or a bad thing. It's just how we are. And so if you want to talk about the most interesting thing possible with someone, talk about them.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
There was a little anecdote where this woman basically said, I went to dinner with the two presidential candidates. By the end of the first dinner, I was convinced he was the most interesting person in the world. But by the end of the second dinner, I was convinced I was the most interesting person in the world. Number two got my vote. Awesome. And so it's not a matter of trying to show up and impress someone by telling them all the great things about you. It's a matter of showing up and giving them the mic. Hey, tell me about yourself. I'm really curious. I genuinely want to know. Because I actually do. I love hearing people talk. If I could just sit and listen to people tell me stories all day, be a happy dude. So that's why I love sales.
Yeah, that's what it is, man. That's what sales is.
It really is.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I know so many people's life stories. And let me tell you, like, we've all gone through some crazy shit, but we have so much more in common at our core than most people like to believe. So much more. So let's see.
We did get another comment. Rosella said, I had to work with a business coach and find my 3-minute pitch without saying I provide accounting services. People seem to be uninterested when I would say that. I would chime in on that and say, like in Grant's framework, well, you know how some people get frustrated with generating with not understanding the numbers of their business or not being able to make sound business decisions. Well, I help business owners do that. Just think about like what the problem might be and then what benefit you provide.
Yeah.
Does that sound
Yeah. So
fair?
that's the thing is she kind of mentions like people seem uninterested when I say I provide accounting services because the accounting services is a tangible. We want to speak in terms of implication.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, you know how frustrating it is, or even something like this. Well, I'll just say it like that. You know how frustrating it is to keep making more money month over month and for some reason always stay broke? Like you got to start from zero every month. Well, what I do is actually help entrepreneurs get a handle on their finances so that they're able to keep and invest more money, which means they're able to finally create the freedom they're looking for. But I'm curious, what is it you do? So I'm not talking about I do accounting. No, I make it really simple for entrepreneurs to keep a handle on the lifeblood of their business so that every day they're able to make educated decisions and move forward. That'll like, boom. Because it's not about, I don't say, you know how hard it is to make sales? Well, I'm a sales coach. Well, I make it really simple for you to have authentic interactions that actually lead to people saying yes and paying you. But I'm curious, what about you? It makes a total difference. If all we did was cover that, guys, it would make you guys a lot of money. But
That's gold. That is gold right there, guys. Like run with that. That's
yes,
amazing.
yes. I can't give any opinions on accounting in the cannabis industry because I know that's a big gray area, and I am not a lawyer. I have no idea. That was a
Yeah,
question.
result. Yeah, I see that result. Like, can you elaborate on what do you mean by what are your thoughts on it? Like, I don't know how to address that. Yeah, it's a emerging industry in accounting right now. They need a lot of help in accounting services, but
I believe
um,
it. There's a lot
yeah,
of money that goes through those businesses.
absolutely. So I'm interested to hear what your question is, Rizal.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, let's talk a little bit more about frameworking this bad boy and like when we have these conversations with the structure,
Yeah.
like
Let's do it. Because I've just got about 20 minutes here before I got to leave you guys to have an amazing day. So strap in because we'll move quick. Uh, and I'll give Charlie this link so that if you want it, you can just let him know. Just say hashtag link below. Or no, hashtag link me, bro. Hashtag
yeah,
link me,
yeah.
bro.
Put it in the comments below, and I'll get it over to you.
He'll send this on over to you. So, guys, understand I've read through literally an 80-page script is the biggest one so far. Blew my brain. I could not read 80 pages in the course of an hour. Don't do that shit. I say that because this oftentimes looks so simple to people. This is the whole framework right there. Basically one page.
Yep, 2
That's
pages.
that's the whole thing. Like it doesn't need to be complicated. And some people see this, they're like, oh, it must be too simple. There's no way it works. Dude, this has made so much money. So much money. So what Charlie will teach you when you have the opportunity to work with him more hands-on is the most effective possible process for a triage call system, which is essentially where on the first short call you're gathering information necessary to be able to make an adequate prescription. And that's done on the second call. The second call is what we're going to be talking about today because it's where the real selling actually comes into play. So, quick little mindset things. Remember, how you show up makes a huge difference. We talked about tonality at the start of this. So, it's not just the words, it's how you're showing up. So, remember to reassociate. People don't want to be handled, they want to feel understood. Right. And so, it's more of a posture of, well, I think I can help you, but I'm not sure. Can I ask a few more questions to be sure? And a couple more things, right? We'll dive into that, or we already kind of touched on some of this, right? You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to be an expert. You have to be one step ahead. You have to be able to solve their problem. And so with that, you can have a lot more confidence in what you're providing. So anyway, here is the super simple framework that has closed more business than I even know. So in any interaction, we're going to open and create some rapport. And this is a very simple thing. It's just finding some common ground. Very simple. We don't need to overcomplicate this. This might look like 4 to 5 minutes at the start of your call. Now understand that rapport is not just something you check off and it's done. you're constantly going into and out of rapport as you ask each question or as you make each statement throughout the call. So be conscious of when a person starts checking out and when they're leaning in. But for the purpose of this, basically, we just want to start off the call by finding some middle ground. Hey, how's your day going? Where are you at in the world? Oh, super, super cool. I got some friends there. Have you seen X, Y, and Z? Oh, well, awesome. You got to visit there. So anyway, I've only got about minutes, right? So we jump into pre-frame. So anyway, blocked off about 45 minutes for our call today. So if it's cool with you, I'll give you just an overview as to what it'll look like so that we can make the best use of our time. Cool? Oh yeah, sounds good. Awesome. So what it's going to look like is I'm basically going to ask you a bunch of questions to determine if or how I can support you. And in the event that it is a great fit, we'll discuss that at the end. And if not, I'll be happy to point you in another direction. My biggest intention here is that you're fully served, whether that's with me or not. Does that work for you? Totally. Awesome. So here we go. Ask for permission to go to the next step. Do I have permission to jump right into the questions? Awesome. This is a quick point I want to make here. Anytime we're transitioning in the call from open to actually, hey, is it cool if I share with you how this call is going to go so that we can make the best use of our time? Yes, great. Get permission every step of the way. It's like dating. If you just try and push someone to do things, it's not going to work out well. There's words for that, and we're not going to use them. You are going to be a gentleman or a gentlewoman and give them the feeling of being in control while still fulfilling the framework. Do I have permission to jump right into the questions? Oh yeah, please do. Awesome. Now from this point, it feels collaborative, not investigative. And this will be super simple. You're just going to ask the question. So ultimately, why did you book this call with me today? Well, I'm looking for a solution to my problem, or I'm looking to expand into this. So they're either going to go into what's currently causing them pain, or they're going to go into their big picture vision. Either way, totally cool. These are in green because this is a customer chooses their path. If they start going into their pain, then we're just going to follow it to the emotional root. God, I'm here, man, because like I'm fucking sick and tired of making more money every month and ending up broke. Like at this rate, I'm going to be working for the next 60 years, and I can't stand that. We're gonna validate. Ooh, man, I hear that. That sounds rough. I'm curious, like, if that were to happen, I mean, how would you feel? Right? We're going to dig into it until we find at the very emotional root, it's no longer like, I end up broke, or I'm not making any money, or my books are a mess. These are tangible things. It's, I'm feeling trapped because I don't know what to do, right? I'm feeling trapped. That's the emotional root. Same thing with vision. If they were to go into vision first, talk about, oh, what I want to create, it's how is it going to feel? Is it a freedom they're looking for? Are they looking to create real impact, pass down generational wealth? Like, what is the real crux of what they're looking for? Because unless you have an emotional root of the pain that they're in and trying to avoid, and the vision, like the pleasure that they're trying to go to, you won't have influence because people make their decisions emotionally, not logically. You need to get those first. And it's just a matter of asking, really, why is that? Over and over again in different ways. Someone says, well, you know, I'll put it in the context of fitness. I just want to lose, I need to lose 15 pounds. That's a tangible thing. Really? I'm curious. Why do you feel like you need to lose 15 pounds? Well, because I am overweight and it sucks. Oh, overweight? Like, how do you mean? Well, I just feel really uncomfortable in my body. Like I don't want to put on a bathing suit, and I can't go to the pool because, you know, my kids want to go out. It's summertime and I just feel really unconfident. So if I'm hearing you right, this weight problem has really taken a toll on your self-confidence. Is that right? Yeah, it really sucks. And hate this. If you don't mind me asking, how long has it been like this? Oh, it's been years. Notice I'm not like saying I understand or it's okay. because I don't understand. I have the solutions. Why would someone be in that problem? But I'm hearing you. I hear you. Oof. Thank you for sharing that with me. Once you get down to the root, and then you say, okay, is it cool if we switch gears? Because I'm pretty clear on where you're at now. Let's talk about where you want to go. If I could snap my fingers and all of this was fixed, I mean, what would life look like? Where are you headed? Or vice versa. Well, I'm really clear about where you're headed. To draw a map, though, we got to also know where you're starting from. So how's life now? And we'll dive back into the pain. So once we have those, then it's opening up the gap. It's really simple. Did you want to interject something?
Yeah, just really quick. I did.
Yeah.
I think it's very common in sales conversations and accounting for us to just hit surface level, and it's vital to in the sales process, just like Grant just went over, to get to that emotional root, to get to why we're really on this call right now. What are they really feeling? And that's gonna ultimately help you to best serve them and to I guess maximize your impact and essentially also maximize your sales and revenue.
Yeah. Your emotions are your body's way of processing information. Like, we can logically think stuff, but your emotions are your body's way of processing, and they are the basis for making decisions. And if you don't have someone in a state where you have like actual emotional leverage, then you're going to go through calls constantly where people just, yes, oh yeah, makes sense. Yeah, sounds great. Oh, awesome. Oh, whoa, that's a lot more than I was looking to pay. Yeah, I got to think about it. And then you
Sense
never
of
get a call back.
urgency. Yeah, sense of urgency. They'll say like maybe in a few months.
Right. Because they're just not in touch with what it's causing. What you do not hate, you'll eventually tolerate. And these people who've been in pain likely have gotten to be numb to it. Just like I did. Like, I was like, well, shit, I'll just make more money. I'll deal with that next month. Well, if it's a tomorrow kind of thing, like tomorrow never comes. But when you reassociate them with the pain, it's in service to them, because then they'll finally make a different decision, go through a little bit of discomfort, but get way, way more out of life. Like, I know, look, finance, money is the gas to the vehicle that we're like getting around in life with, right? Like, without gas, you can't go anywhere. And so what you're really dealing with in a lot of cases is people's freedom. Like, when someone is in control and they feel good about their finances, they probably feel free. So get in touch with those emotions, because what's the opposite of feeling free? Well, if you got money problems, you're probably feeling trapped or stuck or like, I'll never get out of this. So you got to tap into those things. I'm glad you brought that up, Charlie, because without that, you won't be able to open up a gap. And that's where the money's made. So basically, at the gap, we're going to reassociate. So let me just make sure I have this right. Okay. What I'm hearing you say is that you've been struggling with problem. And actually, I have it a little different here. I go into vision first, but it's synonymous. So what I'm hearing you say is that you really want to get your books cleaned up so that you can have a totally clear picture as to where you're at financially, which will allow you to have more control in your financial situation in order to achieve the freedom that you've been looking for. Is that what you want? So what I'm doing is it's benefit stacking. What I'm hearing you want is tangible thing, so that benefit, which will allow benefit in order to another benefit. Is that what you want? And when you can summarize all the things that you just talked about in this chunk of the call into these two sentences, they're like, oh my God, take my money. Because when you're able to articulate someone's problem better than they can, they will trust you to fix it. It's simple. It's like a doctor. If they just walked into the room and handed you pills, you'd be like, well, no. But if they tap on you and poke you and prod you and ask you a bunch of questions for 30 minutes, and then they say, well, based on my diagnosis, here's your prescription. You take it and you don't even Google to see if there's generic alternatives. You just take it because you feel diagnosed. So that's what you're doing with this component here. So is that what you want? Yeah, that's what I want. Great. And in order to get that, what needs to be resolved is this mountain of years of paperwork that you just haven't been dealing with and have been piling up and causing a lot of stress and heartache. Right? Yes. Cool. So, I mean, how long do you think it would take for you to solve that on your own? Well, I don't know if I ever would. I hear that. If you don't mind me asking, how much quicker do you think we could get there if we worked together and you just offloaded this so that you could know it was being taken care of, not just quicker, but actually more effectively so you can prevent audits in the future? Oh my gosh, that would be much better. Cool. Because it's not up to you to tell them. You just have to ask the questions for them to tell you. Because in the process, they're telling themselves. That's the key. Then just in the interest of time, I'm going to go through these super quick because I want to touch on looping to handle objections. So stick around because that will be key. Most sales you make will be after at least one no. So you'll go through a couple quick qualifying questions. Financial might not be as necessary for you since you gathered information on the first call, but this one is big. Timing. So we want to quantify and really qualify them on timing, because ultimately we don't want to have them say, well, I'm gonna, I'll think about it, I'll get around to it next week, because it doesn't happen. So, well, cool. So that every minute spent moving in the wrong direction is ultimately going to take twice as long to turn back around. So my question to you is, do you see any reason that you wouldn't be moving forward with a solution today? And what we're going to be doing here is, one, infusing the urgency, and then asking, do you have any objections that we need to handle right now before we actually get into the program or into the service or into the details? Because this is where you're going to draw out any legitimate objections. If they don't come up here, then we're going to deflect them and treat them like they don't exist, because this is where legitimate objections come up before we've talked about the program, before we've talked about the price.
Love that.
So it's like, hey, I've got a solution. And just so you know, like, it's something that needs to be implemented or it won't work. In the event that we are a perfect fit to work together, do you see any reason you wouldn't be moving forward with a solution? Got it. So they might say, well, it kind of, depends on finances, like if I can afford it. And then you're an accountant, break it down. Well, based on the research that I did looking at your numbers, do you know how much you've been spending each month on like coffee, for example? Just something random like that. Well, I don't. Well, I ran the figures and it's about $500. Jeez. Yeah, I know. I was shocked when I saw it too. Do you know how much that is on a yearly basis? Well, I think so. Well, pull out a calculator and make sure. Oh, 500 times 12. Jesus Christ, that's $6,000 a year. Yeah, and that's just on coffee. So understand that without having crystal clarity around your finances, it's likely that you are throwing away thousands of dollars per year that could be better served with actually getting your family the freedom that it deserves. So would it make sense to get a little bit uncomfortable for you to get a solution so that long term you're able to be free? Well, yeah, it totally would. Cool. Well, let me ask you a question. If you had that solution in front of you, how soon would you want to implement it? Oh, right now. What was that? Right now. Cool. Do you mind me asking, like, why now? I mean, why not wait? Well, I can't wait because I'm throwing away all this money. Right. So now it's not me telling them. They literally told me why their objection was invalid. And now that we've done that, then we can move on. Awesome. Well, based on our conversation, here's your presentation. Okay, so based on our conversation, it sounds like it's going to be a perfect fit. So you know how you said problem? Well, what we do is solution, which means benefit. You follow me? So you know how you said your books are a total mess from the past 2 years? Well, what we do is we retroactively go back and make corrections so that you're able to avoid potential audits that'll cost you thousands. Does that make sense? Oh, makes sense. Cool. And you know how you also mentioned that it's been really difficult to just keep a pulse on your accounts receivable because you've got things coming in from all across the board? Well, what we do is we consolidate that so you have a simple number you can look at to know exactly where your business is going every day. Does that make sense? Oh, yeah, totally. Well, cool. So do you have any questions for me about the program specifically or the service specifically?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then it's, well, yeah, I mean, what does it cost? Is typically what people will ask. You might get other questions. If you get other questions, perfect, clarify them. Like, well, how often are we going to talk? Oh, great question. Well, we're going to talk twice a week, so that you have a constant, you have constant accountability to make sure you're always moving forward. Everything's always framed as a benefit. But typically they'll also ask price, and just deflect because it's not that time yet. Investment? Oh, well, great question. We'll get to that. But before that even makes sense, I need to know whether or not this feels like the perfect fit for you. Only go on if they say it is. If not, great, don't waste your time. Like, it's totally okay. If they say, no, it's actually not what I was looking for, then you can reassociate. Well, cool, I'm curious, why'd you book this call in the first place? And if they say yes, oh, sounds great. Awesome. Your pitch is very simple. So the investment to no longer struggle with pain or prison, so that you can experience the pleasure or paradise and ultimately fulfill purpose, is just price. And so you just input the exact pain that you uncovered here, and then you input the exact vision that you uncovered there as well, and then the ultimate purpose that it's going to push them towards, which is that deep emotional root that they're really driving for. So maybe they feel completely stuck with their finances and they really want to feel in control so that they're able to create freedom for their family. And the investment is just $4,000. It makes sense at that point because you've condensed it all. Man,
gold, man, gold.
I know.
I'm letting you go. Like, I could interject it and just say this is amazing. I want you to get us through this as much as you can. So
So guys, Charlie has been practicing and practicing. He is getting amazing so that he can teach you better. And so he will be happy, I'm sure, to walk you through some of these things if they're a little unclear. But really quickly, all objections can basically be handled the same. You don't need to have a bunch of ad libs at your disposal to sound like an 80s car salesman, like, well, whose name's on the contract? And anyway, it's very simple. All we're going to be doing is deflecting, realigning, expanding, and asking for the sale again. I made a note here. Almost every single sale for me and my clients comes from running through this looping objection process at least once. So you'll give them the price and everything. They're like, oh my God, sounds awesome. But it's a lot of money. I don't know if I can afford it. I'm going to say, well, where can you get the money? I'm going to say, totally hear what you're saying, Charlie. Totally do. And that's not a problem. Let me ask you a question. I mean, does the idea even make sense for you? Like, do you like the idea? And they'll say, well, yeah, I do. Now we're going to realign. Cool. Well, what do you like about it? Well, I really like that I'm finally going to be able to offboard this whole thing. I mean, I've been spending so much time and energy, honestly, just trying to figure this shit out, and it's not moving forward. And so I'm really excited that I'm going to be able to. I mean, it sounds like you'd be able to just kind of do this for me. Exactly. In fact, I'm going to make it so simple that your job will essentially just be showing up, continuing to make money in your business, and almost by miracle, you'll actually have money left over at the end of the month. It's going to be pretty cool. And no, it's not magic. It's going to be simple math, but I take care of it for you so you can focus on what matters most. So I'm expanding upon what they liked. And then I immediately will ask for the sale again. So let's do this, Charlie. Let's get you plugged in so you can get the support you need right now to clean up these books and get you to a position of power and clarity in your business. And believe me, if you're even half as successful as the rest of the people we've worked with, only problem you'll have is that we didn't get started 6 months sooner. Sound fair enough? And that, my friends, will make you crap loads of money. Dude, we've literally finished up with like 0 seconds to spare. I gotta run, my man, but I freaking love you. And I'll send you this link afterwards. So everybody comment. What was it?
I forgot what it was, honestly.
Link me, bro.
Yeah, that's fine. Grant, I know you got to run. Where can people find you?
Just click my name. I'm linked. We'll be friends on Facebook if you want to chat. I don't do anything crazy. I also have a website, granteilertson.com, where you can watch some more free training videos if you'd like.
Yeah. He also has a brand new Facebook group that just literally came out 2 weeks ago about its financial finessing for
Yeah, for
working
financial freedom. We
for
do
financial freedom.
money tips, tools, and talks with some awesome industry experts. Everything from, debt consolidation to wealth multiplication, free travel, really cool stuff. And
Bank accounts, high interest rate bank accounts, checking, savings accounts.
oh yeah,
I joined one, 2% checking's pretty good deal.
hell yeah, dude.
So yeah.
Make that money make you money. But yeah, guys, connect with me. Send me a message. I'd love to hear. I'd love to hear what your main takeaways from this are. So if you don't mind posting it below, it really supports me in continuing to get better with what I do. So let me know what your key takeaway was, and I'll be happy to come back and respond to any questions that are posted after the replay's up.
All right. I appreciate you so much, Grant. Thanks for popping in, and I'll see you out here in San Diego here shortly. And
Hell yeah, man.
you'll have to come back again, and we'll talk more sales and mindset stuff. All right, man.
Will do, brother. This was fun. I love you, man. Have an awesome day.
All right, man. See ya.
Peace.